Hey guys, what's up? It's Nikki, and you are listening to Evolution by Nikki, the podcast. Today, we're going to dive into episode 2. So that would be season 2, episode 2. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. So, guys, I know it's been a long time since I last posted a new episode. One thing I've learned since then is to stop apologizing to everyone for not posting on time or posting late or not being able to post. Just in general, over apologizing for everything. So I wanted to share that with you just as a little piece of knowledge or a little public service announcement. You don't need to apologize for everything. So, you know, take a second before you say I'm sorry and think, is this really something I'm sorry for, or am I just people pleasing right now? Um, so yeah, that's that. But the reason I haven't posted is a pretty good one. I've had to put the podcast kind of on the back burner because my actual professional career, as an entrepreneur, as my own boss, has taken off. It's really crazy because I promised myself the day that I launched this podcast on New Year's Eve of 2021, um, I promised myself that within a year, I would be able to quit my job, be my own boss, and more than supplement my income from my previous job that I just resigned from. And while I'm not there yet financially, I did just take the steps to be my own boss. I resigned from my position and I left on Friday, was my last day. I am counseling now full time for Therapute, which is a app-based program. Um, and it connects you with mental health, behavioral health, and substance abuse professionals, both licensed and unlicensed, like myself, which, if you've been following the podcast, you know I am working towards my LCADC as well as my master's in substance abuse counseling. So, right now, I am operating as basically like an intern and a non licensed counselor, so everything is all good on that front. They are rebranding. Therapute is not going to be Therapute anymore come July 1st. They're restructuring, rebranding. They've hired all new providers to come on for this leg of the venture. And I am beyond excited and honored and thrilled to have a part in kind of a startup company that really believes in the trauma informed approach and mission, and their ethics and morals and everything just totally aligns with mine and who I am as a person and a professional, and what I want to do in this world and the mark that I want to leave on my community and society and the world in general. Um, Making that mark and leaving that mark is one of my biggest motivations, and not for me or the accolades or the pats on the back, but for my kids. I want to show my kids that anything is possible. I want to show them that you can come from nothing and turn yourself into something. I want them to know that you never have to settle for less. If you're unhappy, you are always able to stop what you're doing and pursue another path. It may not be the easiest thing to do. It may not be the most comfortable change at first, but you know yourself best. And if something doesn't pass your gut check, doesn't feel right, sound right, look right, um, you know. So I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of a, I guess, description of what I'm doing. Um, so what I do is I am a trauma informed counselor who believes and uses the approach that mental health issues, or in some people, let me say that first, in some people, mental health issues and substance abuse issues are directly caused and linked to trauma. And if anyone is aware of the ACEs assessment, adverse childhood experiences, um, trauma in general, no matter what type it is trauma. There is no competition. There is no hierarchy of trauma. There is no, well, my trauma was worse than yours. That doesn't exist. What is traumatic for one person may not be for another person, and vice versa. And that's okay. And that's normal. And no one should diminish your pain or make you feel bad for the way you feel about your pain and the things that you've been through. Those feelings are valid and they need to be addressed, and you need to be supported in your healing journey, whether that's mental, behavioral, or substance. So I know that was a little bit too much, about 6 minutes and 53 seconds of me just talking about that. But I'd like to jump right back into where we left off on the last episode. And in that episode, I ended by telling you guys that Justin and I had relocated to Arizona shortly after I graduated from college. But I wanted to kind of give a timeline here and some specifics, because I know that, not that I'm jumping back and forth, but that some of the time frames overlap. So it might be hard for you to gauge, okay, like when is this happening versus, this. So I'm going to give a little timeline. So in 2004, I met my ex-husband when I was 15 and I was in high school. Fast forward, September 2008, he cheats on me. And as I stated in a previous episode when I talked about all this, gives me an STD, but I still stayed with him, living in his house with his family. November of 2008, like I said in a previous episode, just the episode before, actually, episode 1 of season 2, I met Justin while on vacation with my dad and his family. Again, in November of 2008, the day I returned from that vacation, which was a cruise, I wrote a letter to my then husband and ended things. And the next day, while he was at work, I had my father come and we moved all my shit out. And I moved down to Hazlet, New Jersey, basically without any of his family knowing. I just kind of left in the middle of the day. And the only thing I left behind was the bedroom set that I had brought, which was not paid for by him at all. All I really wanted to do was take my important shit and just leave in silence and never come back. The funny thing is, he never tried to get back to me, which I kind of get back with me rather, which I thought was kind of crazy, because once I was gone from that house, I was gone. He never apologized, he never begged, he never pleaded, nothing. But now looking back on that, it was obviously a blessing in disguise, because it allowed me to move on without being distracted by him or manipulated by him into going back just by sheer loneliness. Like, I had been with him almost every day for 4 years. So, yeah, I was kind of codependent in the sense that I wasn't used to being alone or basically not being in a relationship. Um, but at the same time, when I ended things with him and started, being friends with Justin, I wasn't looking for a relationship. I wasn't looking to be monogamous. I wasn't looking for anything. I was looking for a friend. And I was looking for someone to listen to me and to be supportive and to give feedback. And luckily for me, that desire to establish a friendship grew into a love and a relationship and a marriage. And I'm very grateful for that. So just going back to what I said a moment ago, the only thing that my ex was concerned about was obviously immigration and his citizenship status. Um, I told him to proceed with the process, but that I would not lie about our status. I would not go to any more immigration hearings or meetings. Um, we were not together. We were never going to be back together. And I was already talking to someone else and um, not distracted by him and the shenanigans that were going on the sideline about this immigration shit. So fast forward to February 14th, 2009. Okay, so that would be Valentine's Day. Justin came to New Jersey for the first time. And actually, for the first time in my life, I felt butterflies in my stomach. I never felt that, even with my ex. Even when we first met and started dating, um, I was in a place where I needed to get out of the life that I was in with my mom. And I just saw the relationship with him as an opportunity to be out of the house and to have my focus on someone and something else. Um, but clearly that didn't work out. So he comes to New Jersey for the first time, and I hadn't seen him in person since November of 20, uh, or rather 2008. So it had been 3 months of us getting to know each other mentally and emotionally before actually being able to see each other again, or, just in general, be physical, a hug, a kiss, hand holding, anything. It took 3 months. When I picked him up at the airport for that first time, I had no idea what life had truly had in store for me. That night, or rather, it was the next night. I'm sorry, because I believe I picked him up on the 13th, and then the next night was Valentine's Day. He took me to the Met in New York City, and we walked around Central Park, and we ended up at Danico, which is a restaurant in Little Italy. And at the table after dinner, he actually formally asked him to be his girlfriend, which I thought was the sweetest and most amazing thing ever, because here we are at like 20 something years old, and he's formally asking me like for permission to be official. And I just thought it was amazing. And at that time, obviously, I was still married and I was still letting my ex go through the immigration process. I figured I had not been through everything that I had been through and sacrificed everything that I sacrificed and lied to all of the people that I lied to for him for nothing. I wasn't going to let all of that time and pain and struggle go to waste by taking away his citizenship. So like I said, I let him pursue it, and I just waited for the time that it could be over and I could file for divorce. So February 2009 to June 2010, Justin and I had a completely long distance remote relationship. We were basically the pioneers of Skype, if anybody remembers that. We had those big giant webcams attached to the top of our laptops, our, desktop PCs, and we would have conversations multiple times a day for hours on Skype. We would have date nights where we would watch the same exact movie at the same time, like literally so corny, but so adorable at the same time because we would literally press play at the exact same time on our remotes. We would talk about the lives that we wanted for ourselves, how many kids we wanted, where we wanted to live. We talked about our life stories and our pasts. But most importantly, we made a connection that developed not because of lust or physical attraction, but it developed because we fell in love with each other as human beings before we were able to be physical, which to me is the most sought after and special kind of love. I do just want to backtrack a little bit from June of 2010, or May of 2010 rather, just to September of '09, because Justin did end his active service with the United States Marine Corps as a sergeant. He was honorably discharged and he returned home to Hilliard, Ohio, where he started pursuing his BA in architecture at the Ohio State University. OHIO! May 2010, I graduated from St. Peter's University in Jersey City, New Jersey. I do have more to discuss as far as my graduation, but this is really just following mine and Justin's relationship. So I'm going to jump to June of 2010, just a month later. Justin and I drive across country to our new apartment in Tempe, Arizona. It was the first time that I had ever been out west, and it was the first time that I had ever in my life seen mountains like that. It actually really made me very emotional the first time I saw them. And there really is nothing like opening your window every morning and seeing Camelback Mountain and then being able to say, I think I'm going to go hike Camelback today. Just the fact that I could do that was just so wild to me. Even more so because if you told me now to go take a hike, like anywhere, I'd tell you to get the fuck out of here. But seriously, June 2010 through June 2011 was probably one of the best years of my life. As someone who was a commuter student in college and didn't dorm or party on campus, being in Tempe just off the ASU campus and off of Mill Ave, which is where all the college bars and restaurants were, was truly amazing. It pumped life back into me. It gave me that college experience that I was looking for, but in a safer, more controlled way. Justin was my protector. He kept me safe and he helped me grow as an individual that year and every year since. So I'm going to end here for now and pick up next time in episode 3 with my graduation from college and what happened, and then kind of segue into when we did move to Arizona and I received my first anxiety and OCD diagnosis. As always, guys, I want to thank you so, so, so much for your continued support. It really means more to me than anything, really. And the support that I've received and the feedback that I have received means more to me than you guys could have ever imagined or dreamed of. Um, and just a note before I let you go, as of July 1st, like I said, I will be a non-licensed counselor with Therapute, which again, as I stated, is going to be rebranded and renamed as of July 1st. So I will put that information out there and let you guys know what the new name is and how to book. But all you're going to do basically is you're going to go right on the app, choose me as your provider. You set up your own appointment, you pay for it all in one convenient place. And then when it's time for your appointment, you just head back to the app, and that is where the appointment remotely takes place. Um, Therapute, and also what it's going to be rebranded as, is like the mecca of mental, behavioral, and substance abuse help. And I also provide all types of referrals from psych to holistic practices like Reiki and oxygen bars and salt rooms and halotherapy and hypnosis,